Hello and welcome everybody to the weekly reroll, the show where we recap all the D&D shows that happened this week and we give massive spoilers for them. So if you don't want spoilers for your given show, either turn the stream off or when the overlay comes up that depicts your show, for example, this is the Roleplay Solemn overlay, you mute it until the Roleplay Solemn overlay goes away and the overlay that you prefer comes back, or an overlay that you don't want, that you don't mind being spoiled, because hey, this is a spoiler show. We're recapping everything. We are spoiling the shit out of things. So let us start with Roleplay Solemn. Drum roll, please. We actually had 2 episodes of Roleplay Solemn this week. That's right, 2 in the last week. So we're just going to go through everything. A lot happened, but there were a lot of battles. So in terms of actual storyline, it was pretty short. We start with the players in the temple in the outskirts of Old Town of Raekwon. And they talk to the Templar there, who introduces himself as Joff and says, "Hey, nice to meet you." They have a chat. Turns out the Templar are on their side. The Templar, they're like, "Well, hey, we want to help you with the baby. We're trying to save the world. We've been doing our thing under the shadows. We're really invested in this child. Like, that's what we're here for. We've been collecting magic weapons. We've been collecting money. We've been collecting all this stuff to help you guys move on. Secure the fate of this child, because the fate of the child is all important. In fact, they even said a little. They actually gave the words of the prophecy, which had been lost because it's told in secrets from one place to another, and the actual text of the prophecy never got out. Let's find the prophecy text. The text of the prophecy goes: Esther and Martha joined one day, a child they made to keep ferocity at bay. The mark of honor, the symbol of pride. It is with this child all of our hopes. Oh my god, my throat's killing me. It is with this child all our hopes ride. There we go. Way to botch that, Neil. Way to fucking go. So that's the actual prophecy that they tell them. And the party's like, all right, well, that's cool. Well, can we take your help? I'm like, well, hold on. We don't actually know if you guys are worthy of taking this child. You've brought it this far, but it's going to be harder from here. The easy part is getting it to us. The hard part is getting it past the Veracity lines all the way to the Longborn Kingdom. So to do that, we've prepared a test for you. You can prep for whatever you need for the test. We'll give you whatever supplies you request, but you got to go do this test on your own, and it's to see if you're capable of handling this. And Joffrey pulls out, well, what if we don't want to take the test? What if we just take the child and leave right now? Templars get super fucking pissed at this, and they all draw their swords. And then, people calm down. But it seems like the Templar really take their shit seriously. And they're definitely putting the fate of the world and this child before everything else. So what happens next is that the party gets their supplies. Victarion and Joffrey get some heavy armor, which they have to spend. Victarion decides to prep it himself, so it takes them 2 weeks of chilling and building armor, because they want better armor, so they reshape the armor and everything, and they get ready. Then the trial is this catacomb under the temple. And immediately they get down there, the door gets open, and it's pitch black inside, and oh shit, we need a torch, don't we? Crap. And the Templar in charge just goes oh my god, these are the people we're securing the fate of the child with? They didn't even think they needed a torch to go into the catacombs underground? Oh my god. So he's kind of bummed. He doesn't let so much show. Me as a DM was just oh my god, what the fuck? We're all gonna die. The world's never gonna be saved. Anyway, so they go underground and they start exploring, and they come to. Well, I'm just gonna hit the major plot points here. They come to a secret room that they find. Actually, it wasn't easy to find. They had to they were searching, and they found this secret room that's got this woman in it. And the woman's gagged and bound in the corner, and they talk to her, and she's like, hey, these Templar captured me. They stole my child, who they said was the chosen one. It had a strange birthmark around its wrist. Please help me. The Templar are evil, and they've captured me, and they've taken my child. The party's well, shit, what the fuck? Is she a good person? Is she a bad person? And they argue about her, and it's kind of long. It would take a long time with this woman. Eventually, they decide that they're going to keep the woman with them, and explore the rest of the area with her, and keep her bound and gagged, and have her march in front of the party, and in case they trigger any traps. Um, and so they take the woman with them, and keep exploring. They find nothing down that line. They go down another path. They find a trap, which it's only like a 5 foot wide pit with spikes at the bottom, and they should be able to jump across it. Most people should be able to jump across it without much of a problem. But it just gets complicated with questions and rules and whatnot. Eventually, they get across the pit. And they can keep going down. They find down the hallway. They find a staircase that opens up into this room where there's this pedestal with this bracelet on it. Oh, I forgot to mention they had been told previously that they were supposed to go down and collect an item and bring it back to the Templar. Specifically, like bring it back to the Templar. So they go down. They find this this big open cavern, because everything else has been like catacombs with stone floors and walls and ceiling. This is like a big dirt catacomb or open area that's got a bunch of water sitting in it in the back corner, and like a little pedestal coming out of the water with a bracelet on it. And so like, oh well, let's go get this bracelet. And they start walking up to it, and out of the water rolls this giant deep spawn. It's like a 14-foot wide sphere of flesh that has tentacles coming off of it and eye stalks coming off of it all over the place. There's 6 tentacles. 3 of them have like suckers, like an octopus arm, and 3 of them have mouths with sharp teeth in them. And the party proceeds to fight this creature. It's a pretty close battle. What's his name? Largo gets one shot and completely killed in the battle. He just gets like bitten and ripped apart, dead. Like from full health to below -10 in one hit. Boom, gone. Largo's got it. Eventually, the rest of the party manages to defeat the creature, but not before Smee gets knocked down to 0 exactly, and Victarion and Jockrey take a beating. They peace out from there, go back, sleep for a while. Oh no, I forgot to mention. They cut off all of the creature's tentacles, and it retreats into the water, and they grab the bracelet. Victarion puts the bracelet on, finds out that, oh my god, I have really sickly and weak feeling now that I have this bracelet on, and it won't come off. What the fuck? And then they go back and sleep in the room where they found the woman, who's still with them, by the way. In the morning, Jockrey casts Remove Curse on the bracelet, and Victarion still feels just as awful as before. And then, when they're talking about it 45 seconds later, Smee's like, well, did you try taking it off after she cast Remove Curse? And then it comes off really easily. It was hilarious. If I was giving them like a 5-minute grace period in which you could take the bracelet off, because if you cast Remove Curse, it doesn't actually uncurse the item. It just allows you to remove it from you. Anyway, so that was hilarious. That was funny. They almost got themselves screwed again. And then they explore the last chamber. There's nothing there, so they head out. And when they do, the woman who's with them turns into like vapor and disappears. And the guy's like, well, that's no good. The Templar that they meet at the entrance is like, well, that's no good. And it turns out that Velmontarius, the god of justice, designed the trials. The Templar didn't design it. They didn't know it was down there. Velmontarius took care of it. So the Templar didn't seem too pleased with how the party accomplished things. First of all, they put on the armband. Secondly, they trusted someone, like they placed their trust in a false character. Someone who's like, oh yes, the Templar, they imprisoned me down here. I mean, there was a long discussion about the Templar and whether or not they would have imprisoned a woman in the tomb that they were sent to find. Like, there was a lot of questions about it, and the situation was kind of sketchy, and there were some clues in there as to like, well, why is this the way it is? Like, there's a plate of mostly eaten but not entirely eaten food sitting next to the bound, like the bound and gagged woman. Why would there be a plate of food still there if she was, honestly bound and gagged? Like, if they fed her, then why didn't they take the plate away? If they didn't feed her, if they weren't there when she was eating them, why is she gagged, and how is their food half eaten? Like, so there were questions. In addition to the basic idea that she was trying to turn them against the Templar and be like, no, they're evil. So they failed that test pretty hardcore. They failed the return the item to me, not just like put the item on. But whatever. So Joff, the head Templar, also known as the Arbiter, which we find out actually much later, says to them, well, you're going to need some help. One of your men fell as well. I'm going to send 2 Templar with you. on your quest, and we will give you whatever aid that we can. So the party is introduced to Dana Moonsong and to Tariq. Tariq is Ryan's new character. He is a two-handed sword. Uses a two-handed sword, which does a lot of fucking damage. He's got high strength, high con. He's got like 50 HP. He's got decent armor, but not amazing armor. And Dana is a paladin who is an NPC that will be fighting with them that I will be controlling. And they also get a clutch of magic weapons. I think the party, Victorian grabs a spear, Smee grabs a cloak of elven kind and a necklace. What's her name? What's his name? Jockry grabs a short bow and some arrows. Yeah. So the party takes off and they walk down the road. They walk back to Raekwon because the Templar are going to like pay for their passage on a ship to Nail so they can take the overland route because they don't want to take the sea route. So they get to on the way to the docks before they even get to Raekwon. A bunch of bandits hop out. They're wearing like chainmail or splint mail depending on the bandit. They have swords and shields and they fight. Ryan's new character, what's his name? Tariq, immediately takes a critical hit that does severe bleeding and just like fucks him up super badly. I think if it had rolled 1 or 2 higher, he probably would have died in a single blow again. But instead, he's just losing 10 to 60% of his HP in a single round, which is bad if you don't, it's bad. It's bad. So, what happens after that? Yeah, they defeat the bandits. Dana and Jockry heal up the party again, and they hop on a ship and sail all the way down to Nail. It's like a 20-day journey down to Nail, and they learn a little bit about Dana and Tariq, but mostly Dana and Tariq hang out by themselves. Carla's still with them. They exit from Nail. There's some strange talking going around. Victorian tries to like sell his ruby sword and starts like asking around about buying magic items. One of the guys that he's asking about gets kind of like freaked out. He's like, "Whoa, you're asking about magic items? I'm not going to be around for this guy. See you later." And whatever. They take off down the road. Some riders, riders of Rossi are seen a few days later heading from Nail towards wherever the party's headed, like thundering past them, and it's a little bit. There's something going on, but no one really knows what it is. They get to the next town, and all the guards are on high alert. Everyone's looking about, like, what's going on? Everyone's being really suspicious and looking at each other very carefully. The guards are on, like, super high alert. The party just, like, plays it cool and moves on to the next town. As they're moving on to the next area, they come across a group of ogres. Well, they get ambushed from the forest by a group of ogres. Jockry narrowly lawyers himself into a position where he is defending Carla rather than behind Carla, and barely he ends up lawyering himself into taking a crit that Carla should have taken, which was kind on my part because it's Jockry, when I initially placed everyone on the map, should have been no, I'm next to Carla, not because I positioned him behind Carla because he said I ride with her to make sure she's cool. So I'm like, oh, well, he just rides behind her. And then once the ogres came, he's like, no, I was riding next to her. It was kind of sketchy. If I was playing with Ryan in Dicing with Death, I would not have let that slide, because the characters were clearly in that place and they had plenty of time to correct me, but they didn't. Whatever, it's fine. But Jockry narrowly lawyers Carla and the child from getting crit and possibly killed. A battle ensues. Some people take some damage, some people go down, but in the end, everyone's okay, and that's where we left off with Roleplay Solemn. Wow, that took a while to recap. So that's where Roleplay Solemn is. They are east of Fort something, whose name I've already forgotten, and headed on foot with 2 new Templar. So, on to Roleplay Evan. Sorry, my throat has been killing me today. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm getting sick, but I was just sick, and I never get sick, so who really knows what's happening here? Roleplay Evan. So, we start with the party talking with Fix and Charlemagne some more. And we end, well, not a lot actually happens. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the beginning that doesn't really matter. It's just like flavor, no storyline, no real plot points that I know of. Eventually, we get to the town that we're supposed to go. We ride with Fix the whole way, and we all have like these pieces of information that we get. We each get like a different piece of information or a dream or something. And when we get to the town that we're headed, whose name I've completely forgotten, we're looking for the blood cult, right? We're looking for these strange blood god cultists. We hear about a noble who's recently been murdered, and it turns out to be the son of the. At first, JP said he was like the commander, but then he's saying he's royalty. So I don't know if he's actually a king or a general, or I don't know who. He's been using in what do you call it? Contrary terms. So it's hard to tell who exactly this guy is. But his son's been killed. We find out that he's been killed in the way that's very, resembles the way that the blood cultists will kill people. And Coronado is, of course, this is my take on everything, is making great headway with this guy. And then I'm sorry, not Largo, Cobblepot's like, well, may your son rip in pieces. And the guy gets like, what the fuck? And Coronado's like, gets pissed. And the guy gets pissed. And we get like, thrown out of the royal palace or whatever. Fuck if I know where we are. Remember, one moment he's a general, the next moment he's a king, the next moment there's a royal palace. I don't know. I guess he could be the king general or the general king, whatever. We go to sleep and we're talking about our ship, and then all of a sudden these weird creatures spawn around the city, and we go out and help fight them. They are. I don't really remember their description. They sounded kind of like Grell, actually. They sounded like strange brain-folded creature walking on two tentacles with other tentacles behind them, but they were really small. They were like, like 2 feet tall or something. So I don't exactly know what was going on, but they also have this cause fear ability, and every time they attack someone, you have to like make a saving throw versus spell or run away for D4 rounds. So we do a lot of running away from these guys because we get our asses kicked by them. But eventually we slaughter them, and that's where we end. So there weren't a lot of plot points in Evan this week. Moving on to Misclicks. Misclicks D&D. So this week in Misclicks D&D, we had the party on the island with the town. And they started with the goblin battle. That's right. Excuse me. The goblins, because they were in the goblin village, and last week we ended with the goblins assaulting them from the forest below, like just unleashing a hail of arrows at them. So the battle proceeds. The party is victorious in the end. Jockry summons some giant ants, wall of fog. Faye runs around beating the shit out of everything. December, I couldn't remember her name for the life of me. December throws daggers at things and stabs some stuff. Kelly's character, whose name I can never ever remember because it's Pentagi, shoots people with arrows and stuff. And eventually the goblins are driven away. The party proceeds to head back to the ship and to where the town is being built to rest up. December, who didn't take any damage in the battle, decides to circle the island to figure out where everything is. So she circles around the island, looking for stuff, and comes across this ogre village. What? But there's only one ogre in it. So she comes back to the town, to the party, to be like, hey, I found these ogres. Oh my god! She rolled very, very lucky. Because the ogres were going to hit the village the same day that she managed to get back. If she had gone the other way around the island, or if she hadn't rolled fast enough or well enough on her, time of day she actually returns to the rest of the party, the ogres would have hit before December got there, and she would have set out the entire battle. Anyway, 3 ogres run from the forest line, the jungle line, and the party rips them to shreds, and they die. And then the party keeps resting. December circles back around, finds the ogre village again, finds one ogre fast asleep in the village, kills him in his sleep. And the party's like, well, I think we've probably taken care of the ogre threat. I think we're good here. Pentagi, what do you want to do? Pentagi's like, well, I'm going to help them build this shit. You guys do what you need to do. I'll see you later. So the party takes off back for Beggar's Cove in order to rest up, heal up, talk to their new cleric, and get some new equipment. December ends up buying, I don't know, I want to say a bow. December buys some new weapons. Faye gets her brass knuckles turned into brass knuckles with spikes on them. And I think, oh, and Lily tries to learn a new spell but fails. And I think we left off with the party still hanging out in Beggar's Cove. So again, not a lot storyline, but Misclicks is always super roleplay heavy, and I would say the greatest joy of Misclicks isn't the storyline; it's the way the characters are interacting with each other. Like that. That's the joy of Misclicks. Like Misclicks is great because of the character interaction. Storyline, which much to my disappointment has always been a little bit weak, but it's really, if in my defense, it's really, really hard to get a pirate storyline going. I mean, you can be like, hey, there's some treasure here that you hear about, go get this treasure. There's treasure here you hear about, go get this treasure. Like, and you can do that ad infinitum, but you don't really, it's hard to make an overall, like, arcing storyline. Anyway, enough about that. Dicing with Death was canceled this week. Roleplay R&D. Time for roleplay R&D. What happens in R&D this week? There is a tournament, like a celebration for I think it was for the wedding. I'm not really sure. There was some big thing going on. There's a lot of exposition. It's hard for me to follow all of it sometimes, but there's this big tournament being held. Forgive me for missing some of the details. And it takes like 2 hours to do the tournament. It was supposed to take like 45 minutes or half an hour or something, but we did really well, so we kept getting really, 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 really far into the tournament. And then just the way the rules work out, it just ends up being like constant. Oh, nope, you didn't do enough damage. Almost, but not quite enough because you got the blunted weapons. So the tournament goes on for a long time. We get some glory from that. Then there's a boar hunt that we go out and do. And we go out looking for this boar, and eventually we come across the boar. Like, it's a lot of more role playing, a lot more exposition, but it's all still part of like the tournament, feasting, wedding thingy going on. And we eventually find and kill the creature. And no, we don't kill the boar. We find and kill a griffin, although it almost kills the party, right? Like it brings somebody. It kills somebody? Or it brings someone down to 0. Oh, it kills Ronald. Sir Ronald is dead. That's right. The Griffin one-shot Sir Ronald, which is Margaret's character, or Maggie's character, or Lupurza's character, or whatever you want to call her as character. And in the meantime, she makes a female knight, a new female knight who will be joining us. I feel like there was something else that was going on. But I have a hard time focusing in R&D anyway when there's so much exposition and so little character interaction. It makes it hard for me to like follow along because it's lots and lots of listening to a story for a long time. So I don't remember if there was anything else seriously that happened after that. I'm pretty sure Ronald died. Some other things were said, but then we didn't really move on or do anything else. And as per usual, Roleplay Dark Heresy was canceled this week. That's right. Roleplay Dark Heresy was canceled skipped. There was no Dark Heresy. So we did the weekly reroll in half an hour. Excellent. Well done, Neil. That's it for the weekly reroll. I'm going to be hopping into some, what do you call that stuff? Diablo 3 hardcore mode. And that's it. So I'm gonna kill the stream, bring the stream back up with some Diablo 3 hardcore mode. Shindigs is gonna join me, maybe someone from chat, who knows? I don't know. And we will see you guys next week for more weekly reroll. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.